And apart from, in SQL, obviously you need to know how to write the group functions, joins, subqueries, views, materialize views, and all these things. Okay. So this is you need to know the SQL thoroughly. That's a minimum requirement. And apart from that, the theoretical concepts where you need to implement practically in reporting, those are like, data warehouse, enterprise data warehouse, and there are few things like, how we can resemble these things into the reporting layer, like, OLTP, OLAP, ROLAP, MOLAP, and HOLAP, and what exactly MicroStrategy fit into these kind of different categories, and why, what are the usage, like, where do you use these things. These things are important actually. I mean, these are not important as if like, you don't work on every day. It's a theoretical concept, the background for the data warehousing. If you know, that's well and good. And as you also already know probably about dimensions, in data warehousing there are two tables, major tables. One is dimension table and the fact table, and there are a couple of different models available: star schema, snowflake schema. Then apart from these two things, you have fact constellation and other stuff. You need to understand the data warehousing architecture. And SDLC, how we implement it in our day-to-day different projects, wherein waterfall model or agile model or different ways of executing a project. And apart from this, there are few things like junk dimensions, conform dimensions, and slowly changing dimensions of different types. So these are the prerequisites, I can say, to get into any data warehousing and BI if you are working on a business intelligence tools. The ETL and the backend, that's a different story altogether. You need to know the programming and some ETL tools and other stuff. But we're not talking about that. It's a minimum requirement for BI. Any questions?
Most of the stuff you have listed, I have concepts. I know the concepts, and maybe some of them I need to like. Most of the stuff I have clear idea.
Okay, that's very good. Now let me jump into MicroStrategy. Okay. So.
Okay.
We'll give you a history of MicroStrategy till 2010 April. Okay. We were using version 8 of the software. Okay. And from 2010 April, MicroStrategy got introduced with 9 version. The major difference is, as you said just now, you know what the data warehousing concepts. MicroStrategy was a roll-up tool, relational online analytical processing tool till 8th version. From 9th version onwards, they introduced intelligent cubes. If you know about BOs, Cognos, they have a capability of building cubes in it, right? So those kinds of concepts are introduced in 9th version in MicroStrategy. Once the cubes came into MicroStrategy, the in-memory BI, the multi-dimensional online analytical processing concept got introduced to it, like MOLAP. So having the roll-up and MOLAP, both the functionalities, you can say MicroStrategy, that's nothing but MSTR, can have an essence of roll-up. The reason is hybrid online analytical processing is nothing but roll-up plus MOLAP. Okay, just to give you a background here. Okay. As like any other tool, MicroStrategy has also got 3 different roles: admin, architect, developer. I'm going to cover all the 3 roles and responsibilities in my training, okay? And we'll be going in depth of developer and architect and an overview complete of the administration, okay? Now, like any other tool, like when you compare with business objects have also got n number of components in it, right? Here also, we got a lot of components. Let me go through one by one. First one is desktop, or these days we are calling it as developer. This is a local software, client software, where you install it and you work on this and you build all the reporting and the architecture, everything. Finally, you end up showing these reports in the web for end users. And the good thing is you can also create reports, create dashboards directly in the web these days. So instead of doing it here, you can also do it in the web directly. Okay. And let me tell you, architect and admin will work only on these 2 concepts, only these 2 components. Apart from these 2, they will not touch any of the other components. All the remaining components are dealt by administrator. Okay. And let me tell you, unlike other tools, MicroStrategy is totally different. You will use a component for only particular task. You understand? If you want to do migration from one server to another server, you use only one component. Apart from that work, that component will not be used for any other thing. Okay? The predefined task will be given to a particular component. Let me go through it. Intelligent server. Let me tell you, this is heart of MSTR. For 3-tier architecture, 4-tier, 5-tier, you have to connect to the intelligent server. Then only you can execute all the requirements and like share to n number of people. Okay. Now, you have command manager, object manager, enterprise manager, integrity manager. So this command manager, right, whatever you can do it in the desktop, MicroStrategy is a GUI tool. You don't need to write a lot of scripting and commanding all these things here. But there is an option to do such kind of activity also, first thing. Second thing, you need to create 100 users at a time. Let's say if you want to create 1 user, you go to desktop admin and right click on a mouse, create user, give him privileges. That's an easy task. Imagine to create 100 users at a time, it will take at least 6-7 hours to do it, right? Instead of that, you can use command manager and write a single line script to create bulk users, bulk report execution, purge cache, and start, stop, intelligence server. So all these things can be done in the desktop. The only thing is, if you want to do it in a bulk stuff, you can do it in the command manager very easily by writing a single line code. That's it. Okay? That's what the difference. As I was talking about migrations, right? As you know, in real time we have dev, QA, prod. These are the 3 servers available. Now, to do migration from one server to another server, okay, when your development work is done, okay, when your development work is done, you have to migrate the project from dev to QA, then the testing is done, then you need to move to production. Am I right?
Yeah, correct.
So for that, you use object manager. Apart from that, you will not touch object manager for any other thing. It's only used to do migration. Enterprise manager. This is used for audit and logs purpose. What does it mean? Let's say, for example, you want to see, like, how many valid users are there in your project because of the licenses. Because Some people move out of the project, still their licenses will be used, right? It's unnecessary cost to the company. Now, apart from that, how many reports were created by Pawan in last 6 months? How many reports deleted by last 2 days is by Pawan, you know? And how many times Ria has joined, like, has logged into a development server or a production server. All these statistics, all these kind of information will be stored in the enterprise manager. You can view all these things in the audit and logs portion. Okay. Integrity manager is very rare component because we rarely use it in MicroStrategy in projects. Very few people use it. In the sense, like every team will have a testing team of its own, right? All the data warehousing or BI will have a separate testing team. But if you want to compare, if you want to do testing, compare to projects, to reports, you can do integrity manager. This is only done by administrator, let me tell you. Architect, developer will not touch these things. Apart from this, we have some fancy technologies like mobile with Apple, Android, and BlackBerry as well. We have SDK, and this is used for customization, and for that you need to know Java or .NET. And apart from this, you have Office. This is purely called it as MS Office. I can compare with that. You can create a report in Excel, Word, PowerPoint, HTML, MHT, and the speciality of these things, this particular Office is you can create a pivot table here. Okay. In desktop, you can export report to n number of options, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and everything. But the customized report you want to create for pivoting, you can do it only here. And let me tell you, these components are very, very rarely used in the market. In the sense, like, they are not frequently used by every client. Very few people like to use this. Okay, because of the requirement, they don't want to use these things again, different components. Majorly used was for architect, developer, these two things, administrator, all this stuff. Any questions?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Please carry on.
Now, let's go to the architecture. Okay. So, in general, if you talk about, it's also similar to any other architecture. One is 2-tier, 3-tier, 4-tier, and 5-tier. I forgot to tell you one thing here. You have another component, and people stopped, most of the clients have stopped using it because of a different component. It's a big one, but it's called narrowcast server. This is used for scheduling the jobs and executing subscriptions, all these things. Why I said, like, most of the clients are not, willing to use this, because in desktop only, MicroStrategy provided distribution services as an option. So it does the same thing what narrowcast does. If you're doing the same thing in desktop itself, why do you need a new component, right? But having said that, you use the narrowcast server if you are having 5,000, 10,000 users, huge count of users, then you can use this. Okay? That's what the difference. Got it? Now, let me go to 2-tier architecture. Yeah. So you have a database connected to MicroStrategy desktop, or you can say it as developer. What happens? This is 2-tier architecture. You can't, if you have a 2-tier architecture, you cannot see any other person's report, or no one else can see what you have created because it's not connected to server. Right? First thing. Second thing is, this is majorly used for POCs and learning internally and other things. Okay. Coming to the 3-tier, database, intelligence server, desktop. So when you execute a report, it goes to intelligence server. From here it goes to desktop and get the data to it. And whoever is connected to server, everyone can see all the reports and dashboards which are common to everyone. And what exactly happens internally in the intelligence server? Again, there are sub-components. SQL engine, query engine, analytical engine. What does it do? You create a report using a lot of attributes and metrics. I mean, dimensions and facts, right? All these things can be generated as a SQL in different parsers. All these queries, I mean, all the parsers of the queries will send to database, execute there, get the result, show it in the report. If you are using the formulas, like, all the business logic in front end in reporting layer, those are handled by analytical engine. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So the same thing will work for 4-tier. I can't show it in a graphical way here, but let me just try to put it in a simple way. The same intelligence server will be connected to web. What happens when you execute a report from web? It goes to web server, intelligence server, the same flow will be executed, go to desktop, go to database and get back the data to web. End user can see the report in the web. And finally, we have the same thing, like, as I told you, very few people are using these days this component. Here, the desktop where the reports and dashboards are located, this will be connected to, or intelligence server will be connected to narrowcast server. Why? These reports will be scheduled and published to end users. Like, if you need every day morning 9 o'clock field sales dashboard, you want to see the refreshed data of that dashboard. So that can be scheduled and send it to your mail. But this option is directly available in desktop. We may not require narrowcast server anymore in future. Does it make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Sure.
I'm just copy pasting the content what we were talking till now, just for your reference. Okay. Give me a minute. Let me see.
Okay.
Your chat option. That's fine. I'll send these details to Ganesh and he can forward it to you. Okay.
Okay.
Now, so let me tell you very important one here. Till now, what we discussed about MicroStrategy. Now, what we are talking now is what I'm going to train in my the duration of the training. Okay. And let me tell you, I'll stick to these things, whatever I'm going to talk now, and you can quote me if I missed anything in once I start the training. Okay. So first thing is I normally talk based on the roles and responsibilities. That's how the market outside we deal with. It's not about only theoretical concept, right? It's more about the practical stuff. So if you see here, let's start with administrator. Administrator deal with configuration objects. What does he do? What I'm going to talk about it. I'll show you, or I'll make you to do it, or any of these things, how to install the software, then create metadata, ODBC, DB instance, and create a project source, project. Then after creating a project, right, in real time, architect will come and he'll do a design of the project, then developer comes and he build the applications. Then again, administrator will come, create users, user groups, and work on command manager, object manager, all these things. Okay. But let me put it in a straightforward. Okay. So user management for users groups. Now, apart from these things, you have core admin components, which I explained in the previous slide, right? Like, command manager, object, enterprise integrity. So these are day-to-day used components by admin. Okay, like unlike integrity manager, that is very rarely used one. Okay, now these are completely covered by administrator roles. Architect will deal with schema objects in MicroStrategy, and here, so as we were talking, till the administrator create the project, then admin comes into picture. He pull the tables or views or lookup tables or dimension tables into MicroStrategy environment. Then he create attributes. Those are nothing but dimensions. Create facts. Create hierarchies. I mean, parent-child relationship and all the stuff. There are two types. Then create transformations, two types. And there is a concept which we used to do it in later 8 versions. Very, very rarely used concept because this is very costly stuff to deal with. That is called partition mapping. The reason we are not doing these days is most of the data warehouses are stabilized. In MicroStrategy, if you want to do partition mapping, you have to do data warehouse partition. No one like to touch the data warehouse at this moment in real time because nowadays it's big data and huge stuff, right? So, but anyways, I'll tell you the concept, and what are the real time scenarios which I've done, and so that you can ask me questions if you have anything. So, all these things, it's a traditional way of doing all these things. Okay, from 9 version, MicroStrategy introduced a quick development using architect option. There is an option called architect where you can easily create 100 attributes, 100 facts, and number of hierarchies. But remember, you learn this easy one, but do it in a traditional way. The reason I'm saying is, if you do it in a traditional way, right, you can validate each and every object you are creating. Bulk creation, you may, if you do some mistake, right, the project will gone. Okay, so make sure with that. Next one is developer. Once architect build all these schema objects and the project design is completed, developer will come and he start working on public, or you can say it as application objects. This one covers a lot, but very easy things. Consolidations, custom groups, filters, prompts, metrics, reports, drills, templates, documents, dashboards, or you can say it as dynamic dashboards. Intelligent cube. If you remember, I was talking about these things earlier when I talked about MicroStrategy. 9 version onwards, we got this one. And we have a, prior to intelligent cubes, what we used to do for such logic means data mart reports. And that's it. We'll be having I think Ganesh will communicate about the sessions and how it goes and everything. And these are all the concepts which I'll be covering in my training, and I'll be sticking to these things. But having said that, it doesn't mean we'll be going very fast. Unless you understand one concept, we'll not move to the second one. In general, for a layman, it takes 22 to 25 working days, but it's not mandatory that we'll be wrapping up in 22, 25 days. It depends on you. Some people have to get for 30, 35, and some people for 40 days also. So it completely based on your understanding. Okay, that's it from my end. You have any questions?
Oh yeah. Okay. So So, sir, okay, what all explained is by you is clear to me. Which version are you teaching in this course?
Whatever the version is available in MicroStrategy website, that's nothing but 9.4.1. That is the latest version what we have now.
Okay, okay, okay. Uh, mm, the course material something? Are you able to provide something?
Here is the thing. Normally, I've been doing this from. I did not introduce myself first. I've been training MicroStrategy from almost 10 years now. Okay.
Really practical base. I really appreciate that. So, just to clarify.
Yeah.